Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, my friend Brian Papstein at 100% Humboldt with Scott Hammond. How's it going, Brian?
What was this, a circus?
Yeah, I got to say it really quick.
Ladies and gentlemen, yeah.
Of all ages.
Yeah.
So tell us the Brian Papstein story.
Oh, geez, how bored do you want to get?
Who are you and what do you do?
Well, I grew up about 4 blocks from here.
Wow.
At the end of Edgewood.
Right here. Edgewood's right over. I can almost see it.
Edgewood is right over there.
Okay. It's on my map.
Oh, you're pointing. Okay. I couldn't find it on the map. Just close my eyes. I'll go find it.
You'd have to look.
I don't. What do you want? What?
Eureka High. I know you and I went to Humboldt.
Yeah, 78. Got silly and senior class president there.
Wow.
Yeah, went to Worthington. Managed to close that school down.
Yep.
Zane is still holding on. And then Eureka High, and then went to Humboldt. That's where we crossed paths.
Is it Humboldt State or Cal Poly?
It was Humboldt.
It was Humboldt.
And then it was CSUH for a short, brief moment.
Correct.
And that was after, I think we were, at least it was after I had left.
And what was it before Humboldt State? Let's see how back.
Humboldt College.
Humboldt. Yeah, and then it was
Humboldt State College.
Then it was Humboldt State.
And then,
Humboldt Teachers College.
And then that's the original. Yeah.
What a history.
Far West Conference.
Yeah.
That's when we went from Division III to Division II.
Go Jacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
what a loss.
Interesting. Did not play at Eureka High.
Huh.
Walked on at Humboldt when we were D3 and D2, Cosentino's years.
You're talking about basketball.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not. It wasn't water polo.
Yeah.
Not with this body. Give me a break.
So Brian's kind of a short guy who played basketball.
Yeah.
Did you start for Constantino?
Constantino? No, I left at the end of the sophomore year. It's when they chose not to rehire him.
Huh.
So, and we had taken that cluster general ed program, which kind of mucked things up.
Wow.
Beyond that point, because they were trying to find out the equivalents. So
really,
Joe Hash stayed, Drew Vanderpool stayed. There were 4 or 5 guys that stayed, and they were the nucleus of the team that Tom Wood started with. And the rest of us dispersed, and some of the guys went to Big Sky schools. I mean, the team was pretty good.
So did you go through cluster?
Yeah.
Wow, that's it. Yeah. So I'll for our listeners and viewers out there, cluster was a prototype, sort of an
experiment gone wrong.
It's an experiment. I really liked it. So here's
I enjoyed it because it's kind of what some of the schools now teach. It's multidisciplinary.
Correct.
And that part's cool. But as far as transferring and trying to explain what it is and what it was.
Yeah, it's too hippie.
So I lost when I went back to Doane, school in Nebraska.
That's right. You went back east.
Yeah. In the old days.
How old are you?
Yeah. One more than you. So we'll just leave it there. Everything was SAT. Nobody took ACT tests.
It was all SAT.
So because it had history and I'm a history geek, I thought, okay, I'm going to, just for fun. It was like $20 at that time. Well, I got a 23 out of 24.
Oh, okay.
So when I went back, I had half a right academic, half a right athletic.
Nice.
But I lost a year.
Because of cluster.
Because of cluster. And there was a limitation. Doane's a private school.
Where's that at?
It's 20 minutes southeast. Yeah, southeast of Lincoln. In a town called Crete, which is very comparable to Ferndale in size.
Okay.
1,000 kids. Everybody lives on campus, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I lost. So I went back as a senior academic, junior athletic, lost the year. So I was like a junior, and then a junior.
You played basketball?
Yeah. Played basketball there for the year and then came back and didn't go back. So I am officially and proudly not a college graduate.
Almost.
Yeah. I'm 4 classes away, 4 non-major classes.
Who's our guest that was not a college grad? It was Wes Chesbrough. He never has graduated.
Okay.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We're kindred spirits.
There you go. Well, you and I are kindred spirits because same class of 78.
Yeah.
Feral children of cluster, because I really like cluster. So it's no test, no grades, 16 units, pass, fail. You got to show up, you got to journal, you got to participate, you got to get your ass in gear and be part of it. So it's not easy. It's not like a skate. Oh, no. It was just a different approach. It's a different approach.
I could have done without waiting for Godot.
Yeah.
Ralph Samuelson.
Yeah.
had that. And
Ralph
stupid me, I went and it was presented as Theater of the Round. I love concerts in Theater of the Round.
Not discussion.
I despise plays in Theater in the Round. No, if I was a college teacher, I'd be in the round.
Yeah.
I'd be turning around and, keeping everything and using the walls all over the place.
Sure.
That would be way cool, I think. But as far as a play, I saw Waiting for Godot, which basically is two guys sitting under a tree for an hour and a half doing nothing.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of existentialism. Okay.
Right.
And
they did teach that.
Yeah. The only other time that I did it, it was they put on a play for Hamlet.
Oh.
And they tried to make it modern.
Good luck.
And it was like, no, you're screwing with the best, and that's what you end up with.
Yeah.
Is this half-baked approach. And it just wasn't,
right.
It was very disappointing. And I enjoy Shakespeare also.
I'm actually from the Midwest, not far from where you went to school.
Oh, really?
Sioux City, Iowa, upriver.
Ah.
And my dad went to Morningside College.
So, okay, that's
a little Methodist school.
Was that part of the GPAC? I think it was. I know it's an NAIA school.
George Allen coached football when he played.
Yes.
Back in the day before George went to the
And for
NFL.
the old timers, Julian Erickson came from there also.
Julian Erickson.
Jules was he was an assistant coach at Humboldt, but he also was the senior class counselor at Eureka High when I was going through and had been the high school basketball coach for years.
How about that?
They decided that you had to be a teacher in order to be a basketball coach because a teacher wanted to be the basketball coach instead of having a counselor.
Okay.
Whatever, and team tanks after that. So
coaches are kind of counselors.
Yeah, if they're doing the good job, yeah.
So did you go right into radio after coming back to Nebraska?
Oh, I was before leaving.
Yeah, you were already in the radio.
Yeah, I mean,
world.
I was telling. Does anybody know about Nick?
Nick? Yeah. Well,
or is he just our producer?
No, he's the fourth wall or the fifth. Maybe the sixth wall. Yeah, people know about him a little bit. He's only got 200 podcasts.
We were talking before we started this, and it just depending on where you use it as a reference. Shopping show, we're 23 years now. Mm-hmm. Talk shop is 41, 42 years, something like that.
Hard stop. Let's back up. So you run a local radio station that your father, grandfather?
3 stations. Yeah, Grandpa.
There's 3.
Grandpa bought Kins.
He bought Kins, which is an AM signal.
Yeah, it was 980 at the time.
Okay. And now it's FM.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you're a giant radio magnet for Eureka, California.
I often say it's a genetic weakness. You just got it. Yeah.
So you're a radio guy that came from a radio in your veins. How does that work? I know ink in the veins because I worked at the Tri City.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
So there's sound waves.
I'm a higher level.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you were down where the worms are. Yeah. I'm up where the birds are.
You're up on the higher frequencies.
Yeah. No, Grandpa came out in 57, and he was looking at 2 stations at the same time. Okay, fine. Yeah. And both of them were available at the same time.
Where did he come from?
New York City. He was on Madison Avenue for real, and was a jingle writer.
How about that?
Prior to that, in World War II, he was in charge of the European sector communications.
How about that? In Germany or Europe somewhere? Yeah.
In Germany, he had some of the stuff he'd taken off.
He came west and wound up in Eureka.
He was in New York and wanted to get into radio. And a financial guy that was with him for a short period of time was a general sales manager at WINS. In New York City. Mm-hmm. Grandpa had worked for Estes and J. Walter, 2 large advertising agencies.
Huge, yeah.
In
Thompson?
fact, he wrote the Winston jingle, which means nothing to anybody our age or younger, because it's been off the air since 1971.
Grandpa did?
Yeah.
Would you mind singing it?
No.
Can you sing Over the Hill and Far Away?
I can't sing.
The Winston jingle. I'm trying to think what that was. I know
Winston
the Marlboro
tastes good like a cigarette should.
No filter, no flavor, just cotton pick and paper.
Or no filter, no taste. Just a 50-cent waste.
That was a kid version. Yeah.
But it was voted. I've got a couple gold records out at the station in the lobby. It was voted the most effective radio commercial or jingle in 57 and 58.
How about
and for the century, it was, I think, number 8.
Pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like Coke. I like to teach the world to sing and millions of dollars of production. they were out in front. McDonald's was out in front also. So this was one of the old legacies. And part of the reason the effectiveness of it was so strong that's part of the reason why they stopped allowing cigarettes advertised on the radio after the Surgeon General's report came out in the mid-'60s. So they took all that money. And at that time, cigarettes were the number one category of advertiser on broadcast.
How about that? TV and
so
radio,
when they pull it off, is the industry going to survive?
There's a
big question mark. Yeah. They took those dollars, Winston and the others, and if you're a stock car fan, you've heard of the Winston Cup series.
Sure.
That's where the money went.
That's so funny.
That's how much money was being spent.
And invented NASCAR,
broadcast.
basically.
Yeah.
Or helped with the invention.
Far more of today's version rather than guys running still.
Right. Because a NASCAR can advertise cigarettes.
Because
ESPN.
It's not government regulated
right.
as we are.
So I remember early on here locally in the Tri-City, Ron Pileggi, good to see you.
I thought you were going to say Big Jim.
Big Jim. Ron he would really not allow casino advertising initially. Now it's common. I mean, now cannabis ads are common in some papers, not necessarily in your radio station, but you go, wow, things have shifted.
There's no regulation in that.
Nothing,
It's just broadcast.
You look at the Journal and here's...
Journal, billboards
all
in a lot
over.
Of areas, flyers.
Garberville, Willits.
Banners.
Yeah.
It's not regulated.
No.
It is weird for me, and just as a quick, really geeky example, equal opportunity, EEO, an equal opportunity employer, right?
Sure.
See that in a lot of the help wanted ads. And you ask me, okay, so what does that mean? Well, we're interested in anybody as long as they're good. Mm-hmm. Good. What regulatory standards do you have to hit in order to qualify for that?
Right.
What do you mean? I've got annual reports I have to file with the FCC showing not what my staff composition is. That doesn't matter. It's what was the outreach. So I could have all minority entire staff that way. And if I didn't hit the marks and do enough outreach,
however,
subject to the fine.
Interesting.
Doesn't matter what the results. It's all
because
process.
It's FCC regulated.
It's process, not results.
Wow.
And there's a current one that's out there now. It's a 395B, I believe, where I'm supposed to guess the ethnicity of everybody.
Wow. Because you can't ask.
Can't ask.
Wow.
What good is that then? Just more regulatory stuff that we have to do.
I've been writing tax checks at State Farm to the state, to the feds, and I'm going, this is more than one or two more employees. This is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I got another guy, Uncle Sam, he works in the back. He doesn't do anything that I know about. Maybe he does something. I don't know what he's working on. So tell us about the individual components. And so Talk Shop has been around.
Some of the programming? Yeah. Talk Shop, we started that in 83.
And you're on April mornings 1. A week?
Yeah, it's weekdays.
Yeah.
Yeah, so each morning in the 8 o'clock.
You're kind of Humboldt's Larry King. Sorry. I've been working on that one all day.
You just wanted to see what
Brian says.
Yeah. I've met him a couple of times at some of the conventions, and he was an arrogant SOB.
Really?
And when I referred to myself as SOB, that was son of boss.
Yeah.
When mom and dad were still around.
Gotcha. This is a real SOB.
Real SOB. Right?
So he's a real jerk.
So we were going up the elevator, and you could just tell this guy was arrogant, and he was short. So he had short man's complex, which doesn't carry too well for me anyway, plus arrogance, and that I do not like arrogance either. So we were talking, and I said, so what prep do you do? And he says, well, very little. Okay. He doesn't he would never read a book in advance.
Well, yeah.
Okay. And this is the only thing I think that I really agree with him on. If you read or prep or any of that stuff, it's too easy to talk over your audience.
Yeah.
While I know a lot of questions that I will pop up in the conversation, I also know the answers, but I know that you don't know.
Yeah.
So instead of me saying what it is, I'm going to allow the guest, you as a listener,
I'm
going to allow the guest to say, so when you talk about, what do you mean? And then they have that response.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun over the decades.
How many years did you say? 24?
41.
41.
So this is the fourth decade of it.
Of Talk Shop.
Yeah.
And it started with your dad, Hugo?
No. No, it's been me the
It was
whole
you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they turned me loose.
Good one. Yeah. How many episodes?
I don't know.
And now it's a podcast, right? You get it in podcast
Well,
format?
it's on the website afterwards.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
Gosh, so that's got to be 41 years of...
Okay. Nick, break out the calculator.
Yeah. 50 weeks a year.
5 times 52 times 41, whatever that is.
All right.
I don't know.
It's a lot. It's 200...
It's
a couple grand. Well, it's several thousand.
it's probably over 10,000. I don't know.
That's a lot.
It
So you talk to a lot of people.
Yeah, and like when the soups, you get a new supervisor in.
Oh, yeah.
And they were discovering this new information.
Soup of the month.
Oh, okay. Well, 5 years ago it was this, and 10 years ago it was that, and back when Anna Sparks was in, it was da-da-da-da-da, and you can kind of see their eyes roll back because I'm going back deeper and further than what they can. Well, no, Clausen never showed up. But it's having that legacy and that has really, I think, benefited the community. I don't care about me. It's, that's the reason I'm doing it is so that the community is aware of what's going on and have a perspective that they probably don't find anywhere else in any of the other outlets and information outlets.
And the show's an hour?
45 minutes or so.
45?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it for years. And then you have the shopping show on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's Saturday that I'm part of. There's 100 of us throughout the world. It's called the Idea Bank. And you have to be nominated to get in. They're all radio operators. Most of us are owner or operator. And there's folks from Canada and Australia and New Zealand as well as America. And I think we've got somebody on the waiting list from Europe somewhere. And we get together twice a year. We just finished one last month in Sayre, Pennsylvania.
Oh, back at Sayre.
Yeah. So it gave me a chance to go to Cooperstown and see the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it's about 2 hours away. And then I got to see where Dad played baseball for the Red Sox in Corning.
Oh, is that right?
Where the glass company is. He played there in 58.
How about that?
So that was kind of cool touching base. But a lot of ideas are exchanged, and this was an idea from there that I've only been in since 99, so I don't know, 25 years. And this was one of those early on ideas, and we mutate it and warp it and put it on steroids and do this and do that and scroll around with it. And it's become, I think it's almost destination listening on the weekends for a lot of people.
Nice.
We don't know how many people are listening at any one point because we're too small and the research is too expensive. And there's no incremental cost benefit to that.
So I call in and I can bid on the pizzas.
You just buy it.
Whatever.
There's no bid. You buy.
It's $10, whatever it is.
Yeah. Whatever the price is, how many you want, fine. Okay, next.
Yeah. My number's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
7.
But we're getting close to 10,000 households.
That's pretty good.
Have registered. So, I mean, considering, and that part of that is in Delaware County and part of that is in Curry County when I had the stations in Brookings.
I think it's genius because it's a win-win-win.
Yeah.
Listeners win, you guys win, and advertisers win.
And I think we've crossed somewhere around $6 million that we've saved people in buying.
That's pretty good.
So, is it an economic stimulus? Well, you can argue it. But I kind of feel warm and fuzzy about it.
It's another shop. It's another place to buy stuff.
Yeah. And it is the savings.
And it stimulates an economy that needs it terribly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a chance and to keep the money local. I mean, that's one thing when somebody is spending with us, whether it's with direct advertising or with the shopping show.
And you have
it's me.
And you have it's your.
That's it. So
is it you and Charlie?
No, it's me and Stefan. Stefan is my youngest.
Who is, so I know that name. I think I've met him.
Yeah, Charlie Bullitt, or is a pseudonym. He was with us for about the first 15 years.
Is he now? He's no longer.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And
He's still living?
Well, I believe so.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, in the area.
We like to think that.
Yeah, I know. I just kind of
I understand.
warm fuzzy on it.
No, he's been around a while. Two people I want to hear about. One is your dad.
Okay.
Your dad's kind of iconic, I think, probably especially to you.
Well, isn't your dad iconic to you?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's a low bar to hit.
After he got sober, he was really iconic. Yeah, he was great.
He was around. Yeah.
I was 13. He got sober. It was great. And then I want to hear about some of the guests. Who do you like? Who's made an impression?
Which
on
one you want to go with first?
Let's go with the old man.
Okay. Yeah. So Dad was in the Red Sox chain.
Hugo Papstein.
He grew up in Westport, Connecticut, and I'm really starting to appreciate now because Dad had a phrase that he used, If frogs had wings, they wouldn't hit their
Butts.
Yeah.
Your dad said that
Every
too.
time
Huh.
they jumped. Okay, so he was in the Red Sox, and I'm kind of piecing things together a little bit. But out of Westport, he was kind of like the regional stud in baseball. He got a tour through Shibe Park with Robin Roberts. Okay. There was a stack, after he died, a stack of Scouts business cards. Went, oh, Cubs, Cardinals, Red Sox, Phillies, Yankees.
Met these guys.
This was real. These guys were wanting to sign him.
Right.
And I found a picture, and it was with Opa and Oma, the stereotype in the kitchen, kids signing, the scout on the parents on it. It's there.
Wow.
It's like,
cool.
So I was kind of starting to piece this stuff together. So when I was back, he played when he was in Raleigh in 1960. No, 1959 is when he tore his back muscle. But Carl Yastrzemski was on that. There were 5 starting pitchers on that staff.
Wow.
4 of the 5 made the show.
Wow.
Dad was the number 1 on that staff. And it was before they had guns and all that kind of stuff. The estimate, based on others of that time that he was equated to, probably mid to high 90s with a fastball, and its curve was low 90s.
Oh.
But he could hit a dime in the catcher's mitt. So he had that control.
Wow.
But it was back when you showed up to get in shape in spring training. And he didn't stretch properly one time and
tore his back up.
Tore the muscle, and he lost 4 or 5 miles an hour, and that was the difference. He played for the Crabs for about, I think, maybe 3-4 weeks.
Humboldt Crabs.
When he, after he came back here and he was done. He played another year and a half in the system, but he knew he wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
So he's here, and the way that it was relayed to me is he would go out there, and was getting really mad, and he'd come home, and he didn't want to be that mad around us. I was, 4 or 5. Kurt was 1 or 2 years old. And what teed him off was guys that he used to blow away were fouling the ball off.
That pissed him
to the point where he quit. He umpired for a year or two.
They got contact. That was enough.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you're one of the elites,
he was blowing him by
that's
before.
different.
Yeah.
So I went back to Corning, which is about 20 minutes away from where the convention was in May. And I'm looking for, all I want to do is find the stadium, the place that he had played. It was like 9-4 and had 5 complete games. For a short season, it was a pretty good record. And I'm driving through, in Corning, other than the glassworks, Corning Bakeware and stuff, there's not a lot there. Maybe half the length of McKinleyville on Central as a reference.
Small town.
Yeah, maybe 4 or 5 blocks on either side, and that was about it. So I'm going down, and it's one of those, if I'm Catholic, so I'll say Holy Spirit. I'm almost through town. I go, okay, I'm not seeing a high school anywhere. And that was what I was looking for, because I had been told that the high school was built on the old location. Almost all the way through. And I went, okay, it's a couple minutes before noon on a Sunday. Who's going to have a clue? Maybe a hotel. And I've never stayed in a Radisson, ever. There's a Radisson right there, so I pull in. Go up to the front counter, and the gal's like 30-something. I said, do you know, is the old stadium from the 70s where the high school is? Well, I don't know, but this gal in the back does. Oh, okay. Go back and ask for Susie. So I go back there, and there's a young gal and an old gal. I said, do you guys, is Susie around? And I get a look that says, and who are you?
The guy from California.
Yeah. So I said, Papstein. I said mid-50s. I said Red Sox. Dad was a player. Do you know where the stadium was? So I can go. I had 2 vials. I was going to get some dirt. Big deal, right?
Cool.
He said, no, I don't, but there's a gal who lives next door to my cousin who's been here the whole time and knows.
She'll know.
On her cell phone.
Yeah. Martha.
What's your name? Papstein. Red Sox. Papstein, Red Sox, talking into the phone. So what was his first name? Hugo. I get the cell phone handed to me.
Wow. Let me talk to him.
This gal went on dates with Dad
Hilarious.
during that
What are the chances? Pretty good.
mid 80s.
Huh.
You know,
Small town.
It was kind of like when I was playing ball at Humboldt. There were a couple of families that would invite us over.
They do it for the crabs
for
too.
dinner.
Crabs players.
Once a week, they just kind of adopt the kids, that kind of thing. And that's what had happened there. But
And he had dated her.
She had some pictures of Dad.
Hilarious.
Like in a pizza parlor that hasn't been around for 30 years. So I got some of those, communicated with a teammate of his who's outside of Sacramento. He's still alive.
Wow.
Jaskremski is alive, but I'm sure he wouldn't remember Dad. But there's a really cool picture that has his hand up like this.
Huh.
Now, maybe it was waving or not, but my take on it is that's the night he got his 5th complete game.
Huh. Nice.
And so it's like, all these connections. So
that's pretty cool.
So Dad blew his back out. He comes out here, starts selling. My uncle, Grandma and Grandpa had 2 daughters, Mom and my aunt. Len was on the on-air side, and if you listen to Kins, you'll hear the time check at the top of the hour.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, jargon. KINS, Blue Lake, California, it's 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
That's Len. Okay, he hasn't been on air here since 71.
Wow.
Family, history.
Right.
Dad does the community comment disclaimers.
Mm-hmm.
I should have got more, but that's enough. Grandpa wrote the Redwood Song. It plays just before 6 o'clock in the morning.
Heard it a lot. Who sings it?
It is Ron Walters, who left here and started the Sonoma State radio journalism program in the mid-'60s when Sonoma State started up.
He sang it, but Dad wrote it?
Yeah, Grandpa wrote it. And he's the one playing the ukulele. And we've cleaned it up as much as it can. It's on tape.
I'd love to describe it or play it right now, but it's just impossible. But
you can go to the website. You can find it there.
It's almost iconic to.
Oh, it's been played at funerals and weddings and chambers of commerce and business openings.
Is there any reason why you couldn't just recite the lyrics real quick? The Lord looked down on
the world so round.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seagulls and I hear it. I've got printouts.
The Lord looked down and
if you pulled it up on the website, it's right there.
And he made a redwood tree.
Yeah. There's bits
lazily
and pieces.
To the sea.
Yeah. There's phrases.
Yeah, no, it's
cool. It describes the area.
It's a cool little poem.
And
could you look that up, or we'll read it. We'll have Brian read it before he goes.
That's
what's it called? The Redwood
Song.
The Redwood Song.
Yeah, we're not fancy. We're pretty basic people.
We'll do a harmony.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we will be one short if we do it.
One other guy that I'd like to talk about.
Yeah,
I don't want to pass over your dad too quickly, but for the sake of time. So Rush Limbaugh, you were the first adopters to early adopters.
We were Station 86.
Yeah,
we joined 3 months after he went national.
My brother-in-law has a Money Matters show on the same flagship station.
Oh, okay.
Scott Hansen. They were Hansen McLean Financial. Now they're Allworth, but he's on every Saturday. They've done it for
on WABC.
Actually Sacramento.
Crack.
Yeah.
Or what used to be Crack. It's
wherever he
call letters get moved around so much, and particularly with the consolidation and the ownerships now.
Yeah,
I think that's probably an iHeart.
So Rush was conservative, and then he conservative talk right wing talk radio. He
started. Well, he didn't. How do I say? The talk format didn't exist until the mid '80s.
Right.
And at that point, there were a couple of stations. They were called O&Os, owned and operated by the networks, and they would be able to. The networks were subsidizing them, so they could try things that are not commercially viable and see if it works. Mm-hmm. That was one of the formats. Mm-hmm. And the first ones that started were, Dean Adele.
Right.
Had a 1-hour show in the afternoons.
Who's the other woman? Dr.
There was Dr. Laura was there, but she was Dr. Ruth was the sex one.
Right.
TalkNet came out. Mm-hmm. NBC or Westwood had theirs. It was Bruce Williams and Sally Jesse Raphael weeknights. Mm-hmm. And Harvey Rubin, who was a psychologist at Yale.
Yep. Who was the late night?
And Bernard Meltzer.
So
those were the weekend guys. So we picked those guys up. And at that time, Rush was in Sacramento, and then he had moved to WABC. Mm-hmm. And he was approached by Lee Vandenhalen, who had set up, he had worked with KGO, and then had developed the Wall Street Journal radio network, which was a series of short forms of 3-minute programs. And then he had heard about Rush, heard Rush, met Rush, and offered him a national syndicated program.
Wow.
And I was really close with Bruce Williams, and Rush was frightened beyond belief. He said, "What if I failed?"
Bruce is a big name.
And Bruce said, "Well, you're number one in the number one market. Your failing doesn't have a high risk factor." So they rolled out August 1st, and I was talking with Bruce and his gal Beth in November. And at that time, instead of having to be permissioned to go on satellites, we had the old thumb wheels, and I'm just kind of thumbing through, Missouri Ag Network, and then you'd flip over and it would be like the SEC Sports Network, and you keep just randomly listening, being a geek. And I stumbled on him. I said, "Bruce, talk to me. What's this guy like?" Because he was out in New York. He said, "Well, da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Pretty hot stuff." And I asked Beth, who was his executive assistant, I said, "Well, what do you think, Beth?" And she looked at me and said, "Well, except for his feminazi updates, he's pretty good." So we rolled with it mid-January, and the first week we took 75 to 100 negative calls.
Sure.
"How can you can't, blah, 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 this, blah, man." And then it turned, and it stuck for his entire run.
Yeah.
It was difficult at the end after he had died, and they were Premier, who was then the provider of the program, continued to run best of. And it's like, he's been dead now for 3 or 4 months. You can't keep saying, this is what he would have said.
Right. Doesn't work.
No. And I was close with Kit Carson, who was his producer, and Kit had died of brain cancer about 2 years earlier, and that kind of took some of the mustard out of Rush's momentum personally. And it's like, now we got to pull the plug. And the two guys, frickin' frack, that they had replacing him, one was a sports guy. It's like, no, this is not a sports slot.
No.
And that's where we were fortunate enough. Cumulus, which is another program provider, came out with and had Mark Lee Van Camp and Robbins, and Jimmy Fallon had just broke also at the same time. And it's like, okay, these two guys are both interesting. What was it that made Rush good early on? And it was, the intelligence was there, but humor.
He's funny.
Yeah. And that was the matrix I looked at for the replacement was, okay, what are we going to find?
Who's going to be funny?
And both of these guys are humorous.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is cool. Okay. Which one do we go with live? Because they're both fed at the same time.
Yeah.
And I went with the Mark Lee Van Camp and Robbins because there's 3 guys. So if somebody's sick, the show doesn't change.
Got it.
If 2 guys are sick, the show doesn't change.
Still, you got it.
If all 3 are not there, something's wrong.
Yeah.
We got other issues to worry about.
Bigger problems.
And that's why we went that way and with Jimmy in the afternoon. And I've continually, regularly will get comments that, I don't know how you were able to replace him, but you did. Thanks.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah, it worked out well.
So real quick before you go, and I know we time is of the essence. You've had
it's radio, baby.
A number of guests. Keep moving. Who's impressed you over the years? And you could say John Dolby, who's lovely.
Roger Redoni.
Redoni.
I love Roger.
Well, let's just go top 5. Who if do 10 if you want, but who's articulate, that has a heart for Humboldt, that has integrity?
Roger's one.
Redoni was amazing. He was a supervisor in Southern Humboldt, right?
Libertarian. Yeah, he was in the 2nd district.
Down over there, 2nd district.
And he got taken out by a distracted driver.
Correct.
Outside of the Eel River Sawmills.
Tragic. Yeah.
Heading to one of his fundraisers. He was going to run again for office.
Right.
And he was on the phone with Johanna at the time.
Wow.
Not a good mix.
Okay.
Rob Barkley, who's one also.
Interesting dude.
Regulars is who I'm thinking of, not the exceptionals that come in every once in a while.
Yeah, Macaulay and Dolby and
Billy and they're
Hansel.
They're buds, you know. So I have a tough time.
Sure,
and all of them turn into being buddies at some point. I'm trying to think, like in the middle 20 years ago.
Did you have Robin Arkley on in the day? Rob's dad?
No, he was a community commenter.
That's right. Oh, he had great ones.
Oh, yeah.
Real zingers.
Yeah, still have got a couple of them that are we're going to have an archive page, and it's going to like list all the employees of the past. I want all community commenters, if we can get samples of those people. I mean,
So the things you remember as a local, it's that he called her the shrill little whiner from New York, Barbara Boxer.
oh yeah.
I mean,
I
he's
thought
just
you were
like
talking about Danny Walsh there going after, was it Alex Fair? I think it was Fairless. One of the early years, it just went back and forth. Gosh, who else would be
so people that have made
exceptional, extraordinary? I mean, there's so many good quality people.
Sure.
Yana Valakovic right now is one who.
Who's that?
She handles the UC Cooperative Extension out of Spruce Point. She's the forest advisor.
Okay.
She's going all over the country as an expert.
Okay.
So it's, one of the things that I kind of try to pride myself, whether it was Rush, who was on 2 or 3 of the shows, Bruce was on a couple of times, Bruce Williams, Wilson Riles, and big deal. I mean, names, right? But so many, and you can tell this early on, so many of these people are used to being in that setting, and the host trying to screw them to the wall. Make my mark. This is going to be my leap to the next level.
Right.
No, my next level is here. I'm not going anywhere. So let's have a conversation.
My next level is right here.
And let's just talk.
Stay in my lane.
Most of these people they don't have that interaction. They're either put on a pedestal or people try to grind them in the ground. No. I mean, if you're a jerk, you're a jerk. If you're a nice guy, you're a nice guy. I give you the credit going in. And if you prove to be otherwise, yeah, okay. Or if you say something stupid, okay, now I got to put you to the test.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that investigative reporting stuff.
The zinger stuff.
In fact, one of the things that people comment about coming in is, the jingle starts and we are walking into the studio and sitting down, and just before Winston, who's my oldest, who's bored op probably half of these shows, we'd sit down and say, okay, what do you want to talk about?
Nice.
Okay.
Organic.
Grab the book, do the trivia, move on.
Yeah.
And have a conversation where you're actually listening instead of having prescribed questions that are pillar to post and don't have a fluidity.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes it happen. And
I like it.
I can tell at the end, and even the major market guys, they'll say, they'll be highly complimentary. And I don't take compliments very well. That, you're listening. You rank up there with anybody that I've ever had.
Sure.
It's like, oh, okay, thanks. Do.
Nothing worse than podcast.
I'm at the end of Edgewood. Do. I mean, I'm still me.
In Humboldt.
But I can't imagine not listening and not having a conversation and doing the studying. No, we want to be regular guys, and if my memory kicks in, great. And if it doesn't on a topic, gee, wasn't there something a couple years ago that talked about, and you fill in the blank.
Yeah, exactly. I like it.
Yeah.
That's good. So 2 things before you go. One is, what do you want to see for Humboldt, the county?
Economic growth and vitality.
Okay. And what's your legacy? What do you want it to read on your tombstone? What are we going to say at your celebration of life at St. Bernard's?
Did his best, and we were better. We're better because he stayed.
Nice. Good ones.
And that's simple and easy. I mean,
and before you leave, because this is format.
What is that? Now we got to fight?
No, we're going to arm wrestle. I think and you're going to tear my arm off because you're so much bigger. Now, thanks for coming. I appreciate you being here. I know you got to get going. So.
Now, do we have the Redwood Song? Has somebody delivered the goods?
Yeah.
No, apparently not.
The Lord looked down.
You know what that means?
Yeah. Tell me.
I get invited back. I get invited back sometime in the future.
Apple Music will search for it.
Oh, I don't think Apple Music is going to find it. You have to go to the KINS website. For everybody at home, that's KINS1063.com.
Yeah, call it out real quick.
One slight plug.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. KINS, and then you have the country station.
Yeah, we have KEKA and then the easy format or easy radio.
Is that all 3 on FM? Or is easy?
Yeah. All the stations have presence on the FM band.
Okay.
KINS is the only one that doesn't have presence on the AM side.
Okay,
Do you
gotcha.
want the song? I have it.
Yeah, let him read it. That'd be great.
It's not transcribed. It's just the actual audio.
Oh, sure. Let's play it. You want to play it? It'll be a good sign
That's my way to go out.
Let someone else sing it.
Had to be audio.
You got to play it up to the mic.
I'll put it right up here. Here it goes. Here's the Redwood Song. Hit play.
Yeah.
The Lord looked down at his world so round, shining for all to see. And he said, that's good, but I'll need some wood. So he made a redwood tree. He made a redwood tree. He needed a land neither hot nor cold to hold this special tree. So he chose a place where the rivers run lazily to the sea.
Nice.
Lazily to the sea. The sea around his special land pounds at the rocky shore, and high against a windswept sky the silver seagulls soar.
The sign's on every day with this song, right?
The silver
Don't turn off anymore.
seagulls soar.
It's the last commercial break before 6 o'clock in the
On
morning.
wintry nights when the north wind blows and turns at the mighty sea, I bow my head and thank the Lord for the land he gave to me.
Wow.
The land he gave to me. Where the trees grow straight and the trees grow tall and tower above the land. And when I see a redwood tree,
Great song.
Sums it up.
I see my master's hand.
The one thing about Grandpa, and then I'll get out of here.
Sure.
His father was an Episcopalian minister, and
Oh, is
so
that
was his grandfather.
Wow.
So the fact that there's a lot of God and
God stuff in there.
spirituality in there is,
I love it.
I
man.
think that helps to set it apart too.
Well, and Humboldt.
Other than the flying rats, not a big fan of seagulls.
Those rats.
Yes.
Brian, thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
Appreciate it. Yeah, have a great day. Appreciate you.
All right.